Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Prowess Goes Live, where we are bringing all of the online business managers out there just intros to experts, wisdoms, tips, know-how, both like for mindset and also like how you get the job done. And I could not be more excited for this guest. She is a woman that I truly look up to in the ops space. I think she just has this eloquent, clear way of describing what all of you do. And I am just extremely honored to have her joining us today. And I think that she is, well, no, I don't think, I know she is going to be a wealth of information for all of you. But before we have Crista come up, quick intro. All of you probably know me, but I'm Ashley Connell, CEO and founder of Prowess Project. What Prowess Project does is we help the corporate runaways pivot in their careers to become fractional ops experts. So we will train you, and then after the training, we match you up with your ideal client with via our algorithm. That is like, think LinkedIn meets Match.com for the ops person and the CEO visionary. So like I said, each week our job is to bring you the latest and greatest so that you can continue on your OBM journey. So to get everyone started, quick opener question, put into chat. Who is someone you look up to? I already told you Crista is mine, but who is someone that you look up to? Put it into chat. Put it into chats. Who is someone you look up to? Michelle Obama, Corey. Oh, so good, so good, so good. Love it. Oprah, love that. Oh, so good. Give me one more, y'all. Give me one more. Do, 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 do. I already said Crista. Do, do, do. Okay. Cody Sanchez. I don't know who that is. I'm going to look her up. Him or her. Okay, fantastic. All right. Now, without further ado, I am bringing up Miss Crista Grasso. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. What a beautiful introduction. Thank you. And it's so nice to be here with all of you today.
Oh my gosh. I mean, every single word. Y'all know in this business, I am the person who had this wild idea of like, hey, can women have a fractional business where they're doing ops? And I'm not the ops person. So Crista just has this like beautiful way of making it real and make sense. And so thank you for being here with us.
I'm excited.
Yes. Okay. So Crista, give us the overview of how you got to where you are today, and then we'll dive into what your business is.
How many years do we have? So I'll make this brief. So like I think so many people, I knew I always wanted to do my own business, but I'm in college, I graduate with college debt, and I'm thinking, let me just get a job for a couple of years while I figure out what I want to do and I pay off my college debt. I think a lot of us start there. And I've always been very creative. I'm one of those weird people who's half visionary, half operator. And I didn't know I was half operator. I thought I was pure visionary, pure creative. I'm going to do some kind of arts business, something really interesting and sexy and cool. And I got a job in a company that was all about lean. And I fell into a project management and operational role. And little did I know, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And I was really, really good at it. And if you had ever told me that that was going to be my path, I would have not believed you. And so it just so turned out that while I'm trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my creative business, I ended up falling into this consulting career, working with businesses to help them get lean. So to help them eliminate waste, increase value to clients. And it ended up shaping what ended up becoming my lean out method business, and then ultimately developing my own system for scaling businesses that I now certify and train other people in. And so it was just this really wild, windy road. And I did end up launching my creative business. I launched a jewelry brand, turned that into a very successful successful international jewelry brand. We were featured, and my jewelry was sold in Anthropology and Free People. And it was all over television, worn by celebrities. And it was kind of a really cool thing in its heyday. But I will tell you, learning how to scale a product-based business is absolutely no joke when you have no idea what you're doing, and a very expensive learning experience. And so today I love working with service-based businesses because I'm like, for all the complexity you have no idea how easy you have it.
I love hearing that. I love hearing that. I think more people need to help services businesses because it's not the super like sexy, oh, I'll stumble into Anthropology and get your earrings,
Yeah. So
Oh,
anyway, just a little tiny snippet of my background, but visionary who just so happened to also be an operator, didn't know it, and here I am. So I war with myself in my head all the time. Great idea, yes, but can you really do that? It's a great place to live.
I'm not gonna lie, I wish I had a little bit more of that operator in my brain because as Leah can probably attest, I'm like, ooh, 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 ooh. Um, but okay, so I heard you speak, well, multiple times now, but I really, really loved first your lean out method, like what that is, and then in particular how you break out different types of roles. Can you describe that to people?
Yeah, absolutely. So over the work that I've done for a lot of decades now, there's a 3 in front of that. I'm like, how did I get to this stage in life? I'm still 20 in my head. But aside from that,
Yep.
so for over 3 decades now, I've been building, growing, and scaling businesses. And so I've seen a lot of patterns. I've seen what works, I've seen what doesn't work. And I think one of the biggest things that we all experience, either in our own business or in the businesses that we work within, is there is so much complexity. If people could do this crazy thing called get clear on what matters and stay focused on what mattered, they would get to where they needed to go so much faster. But getting clear, especially when you are a visionary who has endless ideas and maybe follow through and implementation is not your strong suit, right? Hard to kind of get that traction and get that movement forward. But also there's so many opportunities ahead of us. There's so many tool choices. There's so much change in the market. It can be so challenging to know what to focus on, and then even harder to follow through on that. And so when I created the lean out method, to me, it was, how do I help people actually get clear on what matters in their business? Again, thinking about lean, like what are the things that are actually high value and what are the things that are waste in business? And how can I make this really simple for a founder to get really clear on the things that matter and will take them where they want to go, and all the things that are really just distractions that make them feel good because they're busy all the time. And so I created a really simple framework. It's context, clarity, commitment, and Kaizen. And if you've not heard the word Kaizen before, it's a lean word. It means continuous improvement and small changes for the better, which I think when we make those small continuous improvements, when we're reflecting on what's working and what's not, we end up avoiding the kind of burn it to the ground place that a lot of people get into when they're not making small changes. So context, where do you want to go? Like, what is your vision? I think so often people just jump into action and they're not thinking about what's right for them. They're not thinking about where they want to take it. And even if they don't have clarity on exactly where they want to go, do you at least know where you want to go next or what you don't want it to look like? And once you have that like context, you can start to get clear on how you're going to get there. And again, you don't have to have it all figured out, but what does the next 90 days look like?
Totally.
Like, who do I need? What do I need? What don't I need to do? And so once you have that, then you need to commit. And commit sounds duh in some ways, but as you know, the world of entrepreneurship, it's not so much about taking action on the plan and the capability. It's a lot of time in your head. Like, what do you do when the plan that you created all of a sudden has you visible on video and you're like, I don't want to be visible on video. I'm not having a good hair day or whatever is coming up, right? You commit, you are doing the thing and nothing is stopping you, including your own mind and your own self getting in your own way sometimes, or that bright new idea that you woke up with this morning getting in your way, right? So commitment is like, you said you were going to do it. Unless it truly becomes the wrong path, you've got to show up and do it. And then Kaizen again is what's working, what's not working. How can you make those micro adjustments so you don't end up in a place where you do feel like you need to just run away from it and burn it all down? So that was my path to help other business owners get clear. And I first, of course, created it for myself because it was what I needed when I
Sure.
quickly.
Yeah.
And then that became my whole lean scaling system, which it's kind of broadened since then that I now teach others.
Okay, I love it, love it, love it. So, first question that came to mind is I know that you have helped so many different companies and service companies. Have you seen any patterns on what is the constraint or what is the leverage point that people typically miss? And then in the same vein, have you been able to recognize any patterns in the waste that people do? And I know it's going to be different for businesses, but like, are you seeing two different things?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Always. All right. So I'm going to start with the waste because this one will be no shocker to anybody. Unnecessary complexity. Like waste number one for all of you who are on the OBM path or currently OBMs. If you just help businesses eliminate unnecessary complexity, they will love you until the end of time. It will help them achieve their growth goals faster. It will help the founder get out of the weeds. Like unnecessary complexity is the number one driver.
can you
But
give an example of that really quick? Like,
oh
what is
gosh.
one that you've seen?
Yeah, so a lot of steps. So think about any of the friction points in your business, and you can think about this through your own business. So let's say you are about to work with a new client
Mhm,
and you want that client to sign on to work with you.
mhm.
How simple and easy is it for them to say, here's what you do. I'm ready. I will give you money. We will start versus how many steps, how many conversations, how many hoops, how many emails do you need to send, how many different pieces. And not only is it complex for you or you or in your team, the way it's structured, but think about their perspective, right? Every time anyone makes an investment decision, the first thing they do is start to doubt it. Doesn't matter if they were excited about it 5 seconds ago, we get the buyer's remorse, like, should I have done that? And I see so many things go wrong in that. Like I've clicked to buy, and now all of a sudden I'm going to start what happens between. And that is a place that is highly, highly, highly complex in a lot of businesses, multiple steps that are unnecessary. And just, it's not even so much about automation, which absolutely there should be a lot of automation in it. It's just too much. It's too much. It's too complex. It's too overwhelming. And people regret the decision instead of are excited by it.
Ah, that is so good. Oh, 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 oh. Okay. Now on the other side, like
Yes.
yeah, go ahead.
So within, ask me the question one more time.
So I was trying to think like pattern recognition for the services companies. What is the waste that you typically see? That was the complexity.
Yeah.
And but then on the other side, like where do you see people should be leaning into more? Lean, no pun intended. That they're not.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, perfect. So this to me segues into your other question, which was where I was going, and I wanted to make sure I had it right. And it's underutilized resources. So underutilized resources is not only another very big area of waste across businesses on both sides, but for those of us who are providing the services, for those of us who maybe have our own team or maybe don't and should have a team supporting us, right? A lot of times it's not really recognizing where we should be spending our time or putting our time in the right places. It's sometimes not even helping our clients put time in the right places, but there's usually a lot in the form of underutilized resources. And so this can come where you end up kind of underpaid and overworked because you're not charging enough because you're not at the right level of what you're doing. This happens quite often. I'm imagining that's something that OBMs experience quite a bit based on the type of role and dual focus that they have between strategy and between execution. But also when we're getting support in our own business, especially if we do serve in more of a right-hand capacity to a founder, where they're helping someone else take the vision and get it done and bringing it to life, right? A lot of times we just get so overloaded and end up taking on so much, and we don't have the right support or the right resources or the right boundaries around what we're doing as well. And so that's both an area of waste, but it's also a pattern. I see it on both sides in any business that I go in, and it does not matter the size or scale of that business.
That is so true. And I have to say, hats off to Leah. She has been looking at our entire business and being like, where are we spending our time? Where is the waste? And I'm so glad that you brought that up because for a lot of businesses, time is, well, no, I could argue all business, all people, time is your most valuable asset. That's the only thing that you can't get back.
I agree
So,
fully.
yeah. So be extremely pointed on exactly where you are using it. I love it. Okay, so now what I'm so excited about, can you explain the different role structures
Mhm.
and
All
how
right,
you,
so for any of you watching, if you have a pen and paper or a Remarkable or an iPad, get it out. I want you to draw a pyramid. All right, don't worry if you can't read it. I'm just more trying to show you the structure. All right, so there's a pyramid with 4 levels, and we're going to break this down and we're going to talk about this. So when you understand this pyramid, it will make all the difference in your own business, but especially how you position yourself in the businesses that you support. And that's key.
yes, yes,
For
yes.
yes,
Underline, score, score, score.
for somebody who's in an OBM type role, this is absolutely critical. And there's one level I'm going to highlight that is absolutely critical. So at the top of the pyramid is vision, and this is the founder, right? Unless you have a co-founder situation like here, where there's 2 people who own the vision or more than one person who owns the vision. It's typically the founder or the CEO in some case who owns that vision. They overarchingly own the vision, not something that you can outsource. It's one person. They're looking very directionally at where are we going to go? What type of impact do we want to make, right? They're the dreamers. They're the one who's seeing a future that does not exist yet and trying to figure out how on earth they're going to make it a reality, right? So that's the vision. Now, down at the bottom of the pyramid is execution. And frequently, as a visionary, one of the first places that you hire is someone to support you with execution. You'll go out, you'll hire a VA. Some of you may have been VAs in the past or might be today, right? And so, as a visionary, makes sense because you're the idea person, good at starting things, not necessarily good at finishing things or implementing fully on them, right? So, you need somebody to come in and actually do the thing and get the thing done. Awesome. Well, there's a challenge with that, and that is that there's 2 levels in between. And there's usually a big gap in a business when those are the only 2 levels in the business. And so what comes below vision is strategy. And this strategy is looking holistically across the business. So this is, okay, we've got this vision. We see where we want to go long term. Like, how do we break that down into a high level roadmap on how we're going to get there, considering all the different facets of the business? Like, if I could think of one picture for this level, it would be puzzle. You're trying to figure out what the right puzzle pieces are that come together at the strategy level to figure out how to bring the vision to life. Like, if you think about even just in marketing alone or even just in operations alone, there are so many different choices that you can make on tools that you can use, on approaches that you can follow, on ways that you can structure the team. Like, there's so many different decisions that you have to make at that very macro level on how you're going to get to the vision. That's your strategy level. Well, what's usually missing in most businesses, and what is the hardest for the visionary, if there is a gap, is when there is no one at the level that I call strategic execution. And that is all of you who are OBMs. And this is from a positioning perspective. You never want to position yourself as execution. You want to position yourself as strategic execution. So strategic execution is the person who can act as the bridge between strategy and between execution, between the big strategies of where you want to take something and the actionable plans and how you are going to get there. It is the person who literally is the bridge between what I call is possibility and practicality. Right? It's like, here's where this is possible. I think if we do this strategy, we're going to get there. Awesome. And then there's the cool. And how are we going to get there? Who's going to do what? When are we going to do it? Roll up our sleeves, get it done. And so that role is absolutely critical. And if a founder just has themselves in the visionary role and people in the execution role, well, by nature, you inherit the levels below you if there's nobody in that level. So the founder is buried. They are drowning because they've got vision responsibilities, they've got strategy responsibilities, and they're wearing a strategic execution hat, trying to figure out what the people at the execution level need to do. They're not project managers. They're not ops managers. They're not marketing managers. Like, they don't know. And even if they're really strong in certain areas, there's no way they know across all those areas. And so they're trying to hold way too much, and it's not moving the business forward. And the mistake that a lot of founders make is they hire someone at an execution level, they pay someone at an execution level, but they think they're bringing someone in for strategy. So they treat the execution person as a strategy person. And there ends up being this big, huge gap in expectation. The poor person who came in at execution is thinking like, I thought you were going to tell me what to do. Don't you have a checklist or an SOP for me? Right? Because at an execution level, that's what you're focused on, your tasks, your what do I need to do today? Okay, what would you like me to do next? That's the focus if you're at an execution level. If you're at strategic execution, it's different. You're like, okay, I see the goal. I see where we're going. Cool. Here's what I think we need to do to get there. And I'm going to drive it and I'm going to make it happen. And I might be the one who's also rolling up my sleeves and doing the thing, but I don't need to wait for you to give me a list of tasks and things to do. I'm figuring it out and getting it done. And that is where a founder gets freedom. A founder does not get freedom from someone at an execution level typically. Most businesses, especially if you work with small online service-based businesses, they do not have the types of things that are super routine and super checklist oriented, where you just hand someone a piece of paper, tell them to go, and they do the same things over and over and over and over again. Yet they hire people with that expectation, thinking like they hire and pay someone that's what they think they're doing, but they bring them in and want them to be their like peer and strategist and figure out how to solve world hunger in their business, right? And it doesn't align. But you as an OBM, when you're positioning yourself, you also don't want to position yourself at an execution level because you'll get paid at an execution level. You need to position yourself as the magical unicorns that you are, as the one that the founder needs, who actually can take that vision that they have, who understands the strategies that were set, whether it's by the founder or whether it's by the founder plus other people in that strategic role. And you can make them a reality, and you can either roll up your sleeves and take action on them yourself, or you can manage and lead the people who are getting the things done. It is one of the most freeing roles for a founder, and most founders don't know it exists. They don't know that they're looking for it. They will tell you they're looking for a VA, or they will tell you they're looking for something else because they don't know what they're asking for. I'll stop there, and because I've been kind of like going forever. I could just get going. I get so passionate about this. So ask away, Miss Ashley.
Mic drop. Like, that's all I have to say. Like, that is exactly it. When I heard you say this back in October, it changed the way that I thought about all of our online business managers. And one thing that I want to say that is absolutely true is y'all are the role that gives the CEO freedom. Point blank. As Crista said, I think that is what you all need to sit with. I think because, well, let me ask you this question. Let's say it is just a founder and an OBM and maybe a VA. Who would also be in that strategy level?
Yeah, so in the strategy level is like let's go big company. Let's go big company, right? And a large company who sits in that strategy level are your C-suites. So your COO, your CMO, your CTO, right? It's like your full C-suite. In a slightly smaller company, it's your VP level. But these are still very large companies. When you start to get to that 7, multi-7, even 8-figure, it's typically your fractionals. It might be like a fractional CMO, a fractional COO, right? The role I certify for is a fractional CSOO, which is strategy and operating officer. But it's also where sometimes the founder is getting other types of support, like they might be in a mastermind, or they might be bringing on a consultant or an advisor, right? The reality is a lot of times founders mistakenly think that they holistically own strategy. And again, your strategy spans your entire business. As someone who is a scaling strategist and works with businesses on scaling, I can tell you most founders do not know anything about scaling, like very, very little about scaling. They think it's about growth and like bringing in more leads, and that is not at all what scaling is. And so it's like people try to hold on to it because they think they should have the top 2 rungs of the pyramid, but they limit themselves quite a bit because the founder is a genius in the area of what they do, but there's so many other functions and areas in the business that are probably outside of their, honestly, not even just their area of expertise, their area of interest. Like they might not care about operations if they're a supervisionary. And so you do want to start getting that strategic support, and whether it's on a fractional level from someone who is looking very strategically across the business, or whether it's at least positioning yourself with the right peers and in the right masterminds where you can have those discussions. A founder really does need that support, especially as they get towards 7 figures and plus.
I love that you said that because we see this every single day. Some of our best customers On the client side who need our OBMs, they not only they sit in the vision seat, but they typically have a coach or a business strategist who is telling them every single day, you need this strategic execution role. And they may not use those words, but once the CEO has buy-in from that person that they really trust in that strategy row, it makes your sell as an OBM so much easier.
It isn't even, I mentioned I certify people at that strategy level. And what I tell everybody to do is if you yourself want to remain at the strategy level, because again, you can inherit the levels below you if you don't have
Yes.
someone in those levels below you. So some people at the strategy level also love strategic execution, and that's great. But some people just love strategy and they want to be more at that strategy level. So what I always tell them is attach yourself to one or like three really great people at the strategic execution level, because when you get into a company, you are going to quickly realize that they are gapped there, because almost every company is gapped there. And then you have someone that you can refer or bring along with you, whether under your umbrella or just as a straight referral. And that will keep you where you want to be. And you have the confidence that you're able to actually deliver on the strategies that you're setting.
It's so beautiful. So Rhea has a great question.
Okay.
How do you convince founder CEO that they need to pay for this strategic execution? Because they probably haven't heard of what an OBM is. They probably haven't heard of strategic execution. How
Mhm.
do you use their words, what they're comfortable with, to say how valuable this is?
Okay, so I'm going to give you a real world example here, because one of the people who's in my certification, somebody reached out to me. They were looking to hire somebody. So I referred her and she was like, she's looking for a VA. I do COO level work. Why would you recommend me? And I was like, don't pay any attention to what she's looking for. Talk to her and understand her problem. I'm telling you now, based on my conversation with her, she needs you. She thinks she needs to hire a VA, and she thinks she just needs someone to roll up their sleeves and do some things. That's not what she needs. That's not what she needs at all. She did end up landing the contract. It ended up being a very high paying retainer, and she's still with her a long time later, but she almost didn't take the call because the person was looking for a VA. She just wanted someone to do some operational tasks. And founders have no idea what they want. They have no idea what they need. Like they're so in the weeds. They're like, could you just take this off my plate, please? They're not seeing the gap. And so that's where I think it really comes down to positioning. And if you're speaking in the terms of founder, then you are talking about outcomes. You are not talking about actions. You are hearing their problem and you are talking about a solution to that problem. You are talking about measurable results, not I will do this thing. And that right there is the key. That is how you get a founder to pay. Because if they're like, I'm paying you how much per hour to go do
Right.
what? That is a totally different conversation than you're going to completely solve this problem and I don't have to be involved in that anymore. That's a night and day different conversation. So almost always when people ever come to me about a pricing challenge or a value challenge, like people want to pay me less or people want to pay me hourly, I'm like, I think you're probably talking in operator speak, or you're talking in like actions and I will do this instead of I will provide these results and these outcomes, because that's what founders will pay for. And that is what they're used to paying higher ticket and retainers for, versus somebody who's going to do actions. They are used to paying hourly and trying to get the lowest hourly rate they can. It's just the nature of kind of how they make investment decisions.
So good, Krista. I'm going to pause for a second. Any other questions on this? I mean, I can go on forever. Um, so tell us a little bit more about the role that you certify your people in, the CSOO.
Mhm.
Tell us about
Yes.
that.
So I think most of you have heard of a COO, a chief operating officer, right? I know an OBM is like a blend of a COO and a VA, which is great, right? That's what businesses need up to a certain stage. And then at a certain stage, they still need that role. That role is still critical, but they also need somebody who comes in at the strategy level. And so this is the person who, again, is looking very holistically across the entire business. And they're able to kind of diagnose what's missing and where the gaps are and what levers to kind of pull to get to the scale and the type of results that the founder is looking for. So a lot of times a CSOO will come in when a business is at 2 million and they want to go to 5, or they're at 5 million and they want to go to 10. So it's the person who truly understands how to scale a business. And there's actually 9 engines that every business runs on. And all those engines need to be tuned at different times. And there's 3 kind of overarching categories. Sometimes you're in a place where you really need to focus in on scalable growth. Other times it's a place of more operational excellence. Other times it's a place of more sustainable success. Sustainable is usually when your planning practices aren't all that great. The founders too in the day-to-day and things, right? And so, operational excellence is like things are way too complex. We are not as profitable as we need to be because we've just got way more stuff in the system. We need to get waste out of the system. And scalable growth is we've got something working. It's good, but we know it could be working better. There's optimization opportunity. This isn't about like creative marketing campaigns. This is about optimizing the marketing and sales and delivery engine in the business so that it's super profitable, super streamlined, super connected, right? And so it's like at any one point in time, one of those 3 major areas need love. And the CSOO knows and is trained to be able to go in and quickly spot what's the kind of key leverage point in the business that's going to unlock whatever that next big goal is for the founder. And then from there, you move to the next one and the next one and the next one. So they come in as a fairly permanent member of the team, similar to what an OBM would do. Like, yes, you can do project-based work, but typically you're coming in for a retainer. Like I've been with some of my clients for years. Like I've been with one since 2019. I've been with another for a couple of years. So these are long-term retainer clients where you are there to help scale the business. So that's that role. It's great for someone who's been in OBM for many years and is like, you know what, I've done this. It's amazing. And I kind of want to go to the next level.
And for everyone who is familiar with Prowess Project in our OBM University, we have a tool called the Leverage Locator, which is essentially what you are saying as a tool. And so just imagine that your brain is that tool, and then you continue it on every different step of the business. One question, how do you define growth versus scaling?
Oh yeah, I love this question because most people use them interchangeably and they're 2 totally different things. Um, so I see them as stages. So I think if you think about what you're really scaling in a business or what you're really growing in a business, like yes, you're growing or scaling the business as a whole, but really it's the offer. There's the thing that you're selling that's making money in the business. And that is the thing that you're trying to first get product market fit around, and then you're trying to grow it, and then you want to scale it, and ultimately you want to sustain it so you don't lose your market share, right? And so it kind of goes through those 4 different stages. So scale comes after grow, and you can't jump from idea to scale, which is what a lot of people do. You have to pass through product market fit first, then you have to grow it, and then you can scale it and then ultimately sustain it. So grow to me is it's exciting, right? You're serving more clients, you're doing more generally. Growth is very much that place of more, and it can be sexy and it can be exhilarating and it is exhausting, and it is frequently where people burn out because as you're serving more people, as you're driving more revenue, the resources that are required to deliver on that are going up at the same or greater rate. So a lot of times during a period of growth, it's good. You've proven that somebody wants it. Your goal is you're trying to get to a repeatable growth engine where you know if I just do these things, these are the number of clients I'm going to get. But you often will actually be less profitable in that period because you're hiring more people, you're putting more hours in, you're expanding your tools, right? Periods of growth look great from a top line revenue perspective. They are a hot flipping mess and completely draining and exhausting behind the scenes. And your profit margins are usually non-existent. And so that's growth, but you've got to pass through growth to get to scale because you've got to get to the point that you have a repeatable growth engine. Once you have that, you want to focus on scale. Scale is where you can continue to expand that impact. You can continue to serve more people, but your resources do not increase at the same pace. So instead, you are serving, it's more like one-to-one to one-to-many. It's that type of concept. And so you're able to work with 10 more clients, 100 more clients, whatever it looks like for you, and your resources stay the same or even go down because you're more operationally efficient. You're putting systems and automations in place. You're doing things that make things run so much more efficiently that your profit margin goes up. So I like playing in the place of scale, because scale to me is you've already proven you've got something that the market wants. You've already proven that you know how to grow it. Now let's turn the dials that make this thing actually efficient, profitable, something that your clients love and they're going to retain. Like, to me, scale is the fun place to play in a business. Growth sounds like the fun place to play in a business, and it is for some roles, but for an operational role, it's completely hell. Because behind the scenes, you're like, you just sold what that we now need to deliver? We don't even have a tool for what? Like, it's growth is chaos behind the scenes in a business, but scale is where the magic happens. That's my favorite place to play.
Oh man, this is so good. And another thing that I just want to point out, like OBMs, when you're listening, if you can articulate this to your prospect or client to help set up their expectations for the stage that they're in, because oftentimes they, to Krista's point, they probably think they're in scaling. And so they probably think that this should be getting easier. They probably think that they can grow the top line and their profit, but they're actually in growth. So their profit's going to be nothing. And that's okay, because they have to get there to go to scale. So I love this, Krista. I love this. And I'm going to pause for a second. Any other questions? Any other questions? Okay. What are you seeing out there that service businesses need most from a strategic executor role?
Oh, that's such a good question. And I see Michelle has a question in the chat too. Which one do you want me to take first?
Do mine, and then we'll do Michelle.
Okay, perfect. So when I look at this role, first of all, what I think they really need is truly ownership. I mean, ownership all day long. I will tell you right now, for me, there's nothing more frustrating than when I bring somebody on and we have a really great conversation and they're talking about all the right things. And then they join the team and they're like, what do you need me to do this week? And I'm like, like, let's revisit what your role is, And it's in the early days, this happened a lot until I learned how to hire the right people and I learned how to set the right expectations. Most founders don't know how to do this, right? And so for you to come in, like, the questions to be asking is, hey, when we last met, here's what I see you've got coming up for a launch this month. Here's this. This was the goal that you had established. These were the financial targets. Is that still our priorities? Great. Here's what I think we should be doing. Here's how I'm putting this in place to make that possible. Like, they don't care about the checklist of things you're doing. What they want to know is that you are focused on their goal, on their financial target. You understand what's happening in the business and what the priorities are, and that you are owning and committed to those outcomes. Like, that to me it's ownership. It is ownership all day long. And there is nothing more disappointing to a founder. I can tell you, as being one and bringing in a lot of teams or hiring someone for clients, and they're like, okay, that's done. What do I do next? And it's like, that's not the level that you're here for. That's an execution level kind of mindset. It's a total different mindset at a strategic execution level. And again, that's freedom for me. If I'm like, I don't have to remind my team I've got a launch coming. I don't need to remind them that this is going out. They've got it, and they're proactively looking at this and coming to me to say, hey, I know we've got this, still a priority, still happening. Cool, here's what I'm doing. Total different conversation, and I feel totally different in my business.
Y'all, I want you to go back and commit that to memory. That is the difference. Right there is that conversation. Like, Krista, the way that you just even acted as the strategic executor, I could feel my blood pressure just like dropping immediately, just in this fake acting out conversation. And when I'm talking to CEOs, that's what they want. That's what they expect. That is what they will pay for. Mm-hmm. That is what they'll pay for.
Oh, I will pay a premium for that all day long. I will not pay a premium for someone that I have to tell what to do. I just won't. Like, to me, I'm like, I'm too busy for this. I have way too much going on. Like,
That's
it's
right.
different when I'm training or onboarding someone, but once you've been there and you're established, like, let's roll. Let's make this happen.
Preach, sister. All right, Michelle. Question is, do you think that growth or scale is where you need to add people like middle management, in parentheses, growing pains?
It can be both, but one thing that I will caution against and I will share is we can do like a whole nother hour of me ranting about team design if you'd like. But that being said, I think a lot of times people end up with too much bloat on their team. And they end up bringing in too many people in a middle management layer. And it's because they actually have the wrong team structure that drives the necessity for that versus designing a team to be a high performing team unit by design. And so I say this because part of the consulting that I do and part of the work I do is in huge Fortune 500 companies. I work in Fortune 10 companies. And literally, I go in there to completely transform the way they lead and structure their organizations. And what most small businesses do not realize, fun fact, is most people started their own business because they did not want to be in a big business, but small business actually follows big business structure and does not realize it. But what they also don't realize is that the big businesses abandoned that structure a long time ago because it doesn't flip and work, but small businesses haven't caught up yet, so they're using an outdated structure. And again, I know this because I am the person that they call to come in and change their organizational structure. But when you look at team and how you structure team and how you pull people together as a team to work as a team, you actually don't need much middle management. You need very little of it. And I strip middle management out of businesses quite a bit because you don't need it when you have team structured properly. So I know I'm totally not answering your question, but I couldn't not go down that path just because. Do I see people put middle management in place in periods of growth and scale? Absolutely. I think growth tends to be where it happens most often because things are chaotic, founders overloaded. They're like, I don't have time for this. I just need somebody to manage these people and tell them what to do. I can't tell people what to do anymore. So I'm going to hire somebody else to tell people what to do. But meanwhile, nobody needed to tell somebody what to do in the first place. If you had the right structure, you had clear planning and clear systems in place, none of that was necessary. And so it's the wrong structure drives the wrong behaviors, which get amplified during periods of growth. So people go out and hire other people to repeat bad behaviors. And so that's where middle management comes in. So sorry, that was my sidebar rant on middle management. Yes, there's tons of value in having leadership in teams, having management in teams. Usually that leadership sits at both the strategic execution and the strategy layer. And there are points in time when that's absolutely necessary. And it can be growth or scale depending on the business and where they're at in their journey. By scale, you typically need leadership at the strategy level. During growth is typically where you start to need leadership at more of that strategic execution level. Just my one thing is keep it lean, keep it smart, and keep it high performing instead of bringing in people to solve bad structure problems.
God, it's so good. And I'm assuming AI is making that even more apparent and true.
Yeah. So if you think about the execution level, the person who is there pretty much like, just tell me what to do, give me a checklist, very routine over and over again. Those are the things that will be done by AI first.
Yeah.
And so I think the most valuable thing any one of us can do is be more strategic in our thinking, be more broad in ownership and outcome oriented in the things that we do, and learn how to lead better. And sometimes the team that you're leading might be part or fully AI team. So understanding how do you leverage AI, and if your execution level of the pyramid, which is always necessary, right? If that is going to be increasingly done by AI, especially in certain areas, how do you leverage that, and what do humans do versus what does AI do? And it looks different in every business. So that's something else that I see people taking on more in an OBM role, in the CSOO role that I certify for, needing to become more and more skilled in over time. Because yeah, people are experimenting. And again, visionaries don't know what they need. And I say this like jokingly about myself because I'm very much a visionary too. Is like, we're like, oh yeah, well, we'll just have AI do that. Like forgetting that somebody needs to direct AI so AI knows what to do. And right. So people hear these things like AI is taking away jobs. I don't need to hire for that anymore. And it's like, and do you know how to tell AI what to do? And are you the one who's going to prompt it? And are you right? And so it's always necessary.
Can I just take this video and make it our website? Because this has been like, y'all, this is what I mean about Krista, just making things so clear on why this role of an OBM is so important, if not like critical for
Critical.
businesses who are getting to that seven figures. Like it just absolutely critical. And so, Krista, I know we're up at time. Where can everyone find you? This has just been wonderful. Exceeded my expectations.
Well, go to my podcast if you want to hear me talk about all of this stuff all the time, which is what I do. My right-hand woman in my business joins me a lot. And so you hear me talk from both the visionary and the operator side of the equation, since, like I said, I kind of play both seats, sometimes in my head, sometimes for clients. And so that is the Simplify to Scale show, which you can find on podcasts anywhere. And if you are someone who's interested in kind of moving into that strategy layer at some point now or in the future, you can find me at strategicopsinstitute.com.
Oh gosh, y'all, run, do not walk to this podcast and to check out the certification. Just awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for everyone who's watching, I just want to say thank you for your time today. Listen to this another 3 times because I think you're going to get a different gem in every single time you listen to it, and that you can use in your sales copy or what have you. Y'all, I want to end this with really underscoring what Krista said about AI. I am seeing, and we are seeing over and over again, where founders are at that 7 figures mark and they're getting rid of their entire team and hiring an OBM to run all the AI as their execution level. I am seeing that time and time again. And then that OBM is becoming more important than the founder. Like that's how they're seeing this. So this is the opportunity for y'all. We are diving headfirst in how OBMs can be utilizing AI to be that role that I just described. So if you are interested in that, continue to follow along. Also, we are doing our masterclass. It is coming up, OBM opportunity. So we're going to drop the link. If you do want to come to that, we kick that off on June 23rd. So hope to see all of you there. And thank you, thank you, thank you. We will be back next week. Thank you, Krista. Wonderful. So good. Thank you, thank you, thank you.